Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Today we are going to talk about some more Code Vein, and yes, because I finally was able to get into the boss room. They fixed the bug. I think there was a patch for that. So overall, I think the boss fight was okay. I liked it, kind of. It was actually kind of enjoyable in my opinion. Definitely better than the Frozen Empress, which is really good enough in my opinion. I think as long as they don't do something like the Frozen Empress anymore, we're happy. But we're not here to talk about the DLC today. There's a lot more important things that we have to talk about when it comes to this game, especially regarding its future, how it could be, where it could go. Are we going to get a Code Vein 2? Because after playing the game and after playing other Souls-like game and all that stuff, I really have some concerns when it comes to Code Vein. I think there's a lot of things that need to be changed or need to be touched on so the game could be more enjoyable. And I think it's definitely possible, but are the developers really willing to put that work? Are they really willing to change the game the way it should be changed? Not that I say that I have the absolute truth and I know everything about it, but there are a lot of things that are very obviously not done right when it comes to Code Vein, and I think it's important to talk about that. But not just that, there's also the possibility that we might not even get a Code Vein 2, honestly, because after playing this DLC, I have a lot of concerns when it comes to the future of the game. So future of the franchise, I should say, rather. So I wanted to talk about that in this video. Alright, so first of all, there's a lot of things that could happen, and that's just talking about the story. The story itself of Code Vein is very strange, especially the way it ends. It ends in a way that tells us that it might not have a sequel, because it's very difficult to even imagine how the story of Code Vein could go. Like, if they have a new story for Code Vein, what could it be? Is it just the characters now hunting the Aragamis, which are the God Eater monsters, the enemies that are actually in the DLC, the boss fights? These are Aragamis. They are from God Eater. So are they just going to fight these monsters from now on? Because Code Vein has an identity already. Code Vein is a game that is about finding blood, surviving. There's these ghouls walking around which are called the Lost and already berserk, looking for blood. The whole game, the whole story is about blood. The whole game is about the search for blood. And now, where is it going? Where are we going with this? Are we now just trying to clear the world from the Aragamis as well? Are we just going to turn into God Eater souls? I'm not really a fan of that idea, honestly. So I'm not sure where the story of Code Vein could go from in the future, and I really hope it's not going to become a God Eater story. It would be really lame, and Code Vein would definitely lose its own identity, and I'm not a fan of it. I don't think I like it at all. Still, there's a way for them to use Aragamis without having Code Vein lose its identity. Because Aragamis are made out of the Oracle cells, which are cells that devour everything in their way. It could be anything. They can devour trees, they can devour the ground, they can devour metal, they can devour anything and evolve that way. So that's how the Aragamis are born. And something that they can do with Code Vein, if Code Vein is not connected to God Eater, because yes, they might share the same world, but it might be a different, let's say, universe, a different possibility. So in the world of Code Vein, what they can do is that instead of having Aragamis that are literal Aragamis, you might want the Oracle cells to crave more for blood instead of being anything. There are some theories about Code Vein and God Eater flying around right now that the games might be connected or maybe not, but they share similarities. The ball parasites that the Revenants have are kind of similar to the bias factor, or I don't know what it's called exactly in God Eater, but whatever the God Eater have in their bodies, it's very similar in that sense that they need to be constantly adjusted. They need to be injected with stuff to stay stable, or because if they not, they go berserk. So they're similar in that way. Now, one thing that disappointed me a lot with the DLC is the fact that the story, when it comes to DLC, they didn't give anything important. There's no information that we can really retain from it. That is very valuable, and it kind of sucks. The story in the DLC had kind of nothing to do. Yes, there's actually a story. When you repair the memory fragments and all that stuff. Yes, the vestiges. You get some lore from it, some story, some backstory on it, but it's not really. It has nothing to do pretty much with the origamis. It has nothing to do with all of this shit that is happening right now. Yes, they go around fighting the horrors and stuff and sealing them, which is kind of bullshit in my opinion. It's kind of coming out of nowhere that revenants have sealing powers specifically for the origamis, but whatever. I just find it kind of dumb that the story had nothing to do that way, but something that it's hinting for the future of Code Vein when it comes to the gameplay of Code Vein. Yes, it's kind of surprising, but I'm making this theory completely out of my ass. But look, from God Eater 1 to God Eater 2, they added more mechanics. The game didn't change much, but they added more mechanics. And if Code Vein has to do the same thing, has to follow the same path as God Eater, from Code Vein 1 to Code Vein 2, what they can do according to the DLCs and what they told us in the vestiges, what could happen is that we could have something like a specific power that we can add to our character, like a successor plugin or add-on for our character. That would be a special effect. It would give more to our build. It would add it on to our builds. Something like, I don't know, your focus gauge goes unlimited on some shit like that. Who knows, But in terms of mechanics, it could be something like a successor power that you add to your character. That could be something, because now that they have Revenant's sealing powers against origamis, that could be something that could happen in the future of Code Vein. But that's something that I can see happening definitely. But now that we're talking about mechanics, I want to talk more about the things when it comes to Code Vein, when it comes to its mechanics, when it comes to its gameplay as a Souls-like game. What I think of it, I think I've talked about it enough. Honestly, I've said so much about the mechanics of this game. I've said so much when it comes to the things I want to change and all that shit. So overall, I'm not happy about it. I'm not happy with how the game works. I would say that straight out. I love the builds. I love the abilities a lot. I think it's the best part of the game by far, and I think by far it's the most interesting thing that I've seen in a Souls-like game so far. Honestly, the way they approach the builds, great. I love it, 10 out of 10. But the way they approach the mechanics, the basic mechanics of a Souls-like games, is completely 0 out of 10. It's bad. It's trash. I don't like it. And I think that's the place where they need to work more. I think that's where they have to do more and do better overall. Code Vein also has this overall issue of not having any sort of creative way to approach some mechanics, and it's also a game that lacks of awareness. Like, developers really lack of awareness and creativity overall when it comes to this game. They have so many things in their hands right now. They have a huge project in their hands, and I wouldn't blame them for not seeing the possibilities that they have with this game, because it's the first time that they make a Souls-like game overall, honestly. So obviously they are not going to nail it in the first try, but still they did a good job, because the game managed to sell a lot. The game managed to sell over 1 million copies. I don't think everyone is necessarily happy with Code Vein, but I think a lot of people are fine with it. A lot of people are okay with how it came out to be. So it's okay. They did a good job. It's not a case of, I don't know, like a Jump Force game, like where you have millions of people buying the game and it's absolute trash, right? So I'm definitely sure that they can do better with their games. I'm definitely sure that for the future they're going to do better. But I'm just really worried, because ever since 2017, The developers have shown a really, I think they didn't pay attention enough to how to make it like a good Souls-like game. I think they made a lot of poor choices for the game overall, and that's what led us to the delay. I think that's what led us to the delay. The fact that they didn't make a lot of good choices, the fact that the game was not seeming to be appealing for more people as a Souls-like game. It seemed to be really boring. A lot of people called the game boring back in the days, and even now people still find the game boring. But I think there's a lot less people who think about that. For the future of Code Vein, the game is definitely not perfect. There's so much stuff that is wrong with this. The fact that the game is so slow, first of all, is an issue. Obviously, maybe I'm biased because I've played Bloodborne, because I've played Neo now. But I don't think it's the case at all. When I play with a weapon in Code Vein, things don't feel good. Look at this. Your character barely moves. You have a very long weapon. You know, in a game like Dark Souls, this weapon would be a great sword. Look at its length. It's a very long sword. This would be a great sword in Dark Souls. But the way it moves, your character barely steps. It does a few steps. Look, from this distance to this rock over there, you do like 4 steps. That's terrible. It's so bad. So it's the type of thing that when I'm saying they made poor choices, they made the game way slower than it should be. They made the game heavier than it should be. And on top of that, they made it so we have to fight a lot of groups of enemies. We have to fight bosses that are extremely fast, even faster than, I would say, Bloodborne bosses. Like their attacks are pretty much unreactable. It's crazy how it is. But your character is so slow. Your character has so much recovery on everything that it does. It's so unfair and unbalanced in my opinion. And that's the type of thing that they need to change. They need to be more aware of the things that they're doing when it comes to the mechanics and why they're made in the way they want it to be. That is very important. Another thing is the lack of creativity. It's so sad how it is, the state of some mechanics in the game, because the developers simply were not creative enough. I think it's so unfortunate, especially when it comes to the drain attacks. The drain attacks are completely worthless. If you look at the gameplay of Code Vein right now, nobody is using this. Nobody is using this. Does it look cool? It freaking does. It does. It looks amazing. I love this. Is it useful? Absolutely not. This mechanic can literally not be there and Code Vein would not be affected at all. This thing, it can be out and the game would not be affected at all. This as well can be out. Who cares? Nobody's using them, and that's because the developers were not creative enough, in my opinion. And I think it's really unfortunate. When I talk about creativity, if we look at a blood veil like the Ivy type blood veil, which honestly is the only blood veil that benefits from the creativity of the developers, this blood veil is the only useful one. This is very useful because you can kill enemies from far away. Should the other blood veils do the same thing? Absolutely not. They should be their own thing. They should have their own properties, but it should be interesting. Currently it's not. This is very weak and not creative at all. Instead, what if it was like a spinning attack that would knock down enemies away, right? That would be kind of cool. And what if you could charge it while blocking? That would be pretty cool in my opinion. But it would be the only blood veil having the ability to do that. Another thing is for the Stinger type blood veil. What if the Stinger type blood veil could be, I don't know, something like a hook, kind of like the Devil Bringer in Devil May Cry that Nero uses. You use it to pull enemies towards you, and then you pull them, and then you continue. That'd be pretty cool. But like I said, creativity is something that is important in order to make these mechanics more useful, and that is something that I don't see in Code Vein at all, and it's very unfortunate. On top of that, Code Vein also has a lot of passives. I think they're just restricting our characters by making them passives, while I think they should definitely be core mechanics in the game. There's a passive that makes it so drain attacks can restore HP, drain attacks can grant focus. That would be pretty cool. There's a new passive with this new blood code that they gave in this DLC that makes it so your focus gauge will, when you enter focus, you will increase all of your stat. Like, focus will increase all of your stats. I think that would be pretty cool. I think that would make focus more interesting and more relevant, because right now we have no control over focus. Focus is a completely random mechanic that we cannot really use at any time given. Drain attacks are it's a mechanic that we don't use at all, because we can drain with our weapons, our basic attacks. All of that should be attached, all of that should be connected, and we should have overall things that work well together, I think, because currently the gameplay of Code Vein, everything is so detached from each other, and the way you play Code Vein right now overall, it's just backstabs and backstabs over and over again. That is so boring. It's just backstabs, hit, backstabs, hit. You know, that's just all it is right now, because we fight groups of enemies. And backstabs, they're good because they give you a whole lot of iframes, they deal a lot of damage, they drain iCore, so you just have to spam backstabs all the way. It's just how you play the game right now. I think it's so boring. So I would even say that I would like backstabs to go away in general. I think the developers work too hard to make a backstab mechanic. I think they should just remove it from the game, and the game would be fine if it didn't have backstabs. You know, if drain attacks were more useful, maybe backstab would be obsolete. So I don't know. There's a lot of things that they can do to make it better, but like I said, yeah. Even for weapons, I'm pretty sure they already have plans for weapons. Dual blades for sure are going to be there, because everyone likes dual blades. In God Eater, they added dual blades. It's definitely going to be in the game. Scythe would probably be in the game as well. I wouldn't be surprised. Maybe we will have like daggers or short blades, something like that. Maybe they will have to improve the bayonets. Bayonets are pretty bad in this game, unless you make a very specific one-shot build with the bayonets. Overall, using a bayonet in the exploration and all that shit, pretty bad. You probably don't want to use the bayonets at all because they suck so much. So that's another thing they will have to improve, I think. I think we're also getting things like whips or maybe combat gauntlets. One of these, you know, one of those weapons will appear in the Code Vein 2. But yeah, there's a whole lot of things that they have to fix when it comes to Code Vein. And if I have to also criticize something, let's talk about the environment. Code Vein is supposed to be a post-apocalyptic world, but look where we are. We are always in mountains, ravines, canyons, caves, underground city, stuff like that. But we never get to see a city, really. I think the ruined city is the best map of Code Vein overall. It's the best level of the game. I think it's great, and I would like Code Vein to do more in terms of that type of environment. They do want to have, you can tell they try to have variety in their environment, but it's not necessary to have like an ice area, a fire area, a desert area. You can have the same type of atmosphere, but have more variety to it without making it look completely out of place. Because currently, if you look at the City of Falling Flame, it seems to be completely out of place. If you look at something like the Rage of Frozen Souls, it seems to be completely out of place. And then we have a desert map. It looks so out of place, and I think they don't have to work so hard to make things look like there's variety or stuff like that. Another thing that I would like to criticize even is in terms of the enemy designs. I think the Lost look pretty cool, but I don't like the Lost that look like insects. I don't like them when they look like freaking hairballs. I don't know what the fuck that is, honestly. But yeah, the things that look like the insects, I don't like them at all. The Yetis, the gorillas, I don't like them at all either. I think they're completely out of place. They don't look like enemies that were once human. They don't look like that at all. They just look like animals, and I think that's just really weird. I don't like that. But something that Code Vein did, honestly, that surprised me a lot was even having like Berserk Revenants. I think that was really cool, and I would like to see that more. I would like them to do more of that, because that is something that is part of Code Vein. Revenants go berserk, and you meet them in the world of Code Vein. That's something that they did really well, and I was not expecting that to be in the full game, honestly. The first time I saw it, I had a big smile on my face. I was super happy. But they have to do more of that type of stuff. If we have more origamis in the game, I think they should look less like origamis and more like things that come from Code Vein. What I mean is that we have an enemy like the Hellfire Knight, for example. The Hellfire Knight looks cool because he looks like he fits with the world of Code Vein. This thing doesn't. This thing looks completely out of place. The Frozen Empress also looks completely out of place. I don't like them, but the Hellfire Knight looks a lot more like it's part of the world of Code Vein. And I've talked about it in one of my videos where I said that Code Vein has this weird way to mix chivalry and mix it with futuristic stuff, but with also dark fantasy and stuff like that. And I think that's really cool. So the Hellfire Knight fits very well with that. Something like the Frozen Empress doesn't at all, and I think we should have less of that type of stuff. So yeah. More blood, more mechanics that fit the world of Code Vein. Where's my bloodthirst? I'm a revenant. I want to do revenant stuff. I want to die from bloodthirst, you know. I want to have a bloodthirst that makes me go berserk maybe and makes me die in the end. Things like that. That would be pretty cool, but none of that is part of Code Vein. Code Vein completely lacks of awareness. It lacks of creativity, and that is something that the developers have to improve, definitely, if they want to make a better game. Because keep in mind, the DLC is the last thing that we will remember from this game. It will be the final thing that will stay in our heads when we think about Code Vein, if this is the last DLC. Obviously they can make another DLC, they can announce a new one. I don't think they said this was the last time, the final thing that they would do for Code Vein. But even if they make another DLC, I don't think people would be ready for that. I think people are already freaked out about this, and they will freak out a lot more if they say that they're making another DLC. So Code Vein 2 would definitely be the best route to go now. I also don't want Code Vein to follow the same route as God Eater. I don't want Code Vein to become a franchise that is first developed by Shift and then goes to another developer in the end because Shift is not able to make it good enough. I think that would be so sad and so lame. I want Shift to do better games. I don't want other companies. I want Shift. Shift is the one that started the development for this game. I want them to finish it, and I want them to make it good. And I think they can. The game sold 1 million. It's very successful, but what are they going to do with that 1 million? Are they going to stay in their comfort zone? Are they going to not take more risk? Are they not going to make better decisions, make more drastic changes? Because this game definitely needs some drastic changes. I could talk about the changes all day. I could make a list of the things I want to be changed for this game, but I don't want to because it would be too long. There's too much to say, and I think I said enough. I have too many videos about how Code Vein could change. Too many videos, but I don't want to talk about it. I've talked enough about all these changes. I've covered all the mechanics of the game enough, and I'm tired of it. I don't want to do that anymore. I think there are so many things that the developers can do. It just really requires them to be more creative, to be more aware of the world of Code Vein, to be more aware of the state of some mechanics and what they want them to be, how they want them to be used. It really requires them to be more aware of those things and to be more creative, come up with good ideas and make them fun. Anyways, I think I've talked enough. I think I've said everything that was on my mind when it comes to this game. This was pretty much kind of a review for the game, honestly. But yeah, I'm hoping that everything will be fine in the future for this game. I really do. I don't want this to turn out to be another God Eater game, like where we fight origamis and stuff like that. I think that would be super lame. So yeah, I really want Code Vein to keep its identity. I don't want it to become Dark Souls just because I think Dark Souls is better. I don't want that. I just want it to be its own game, but better than what we have right now. So yeah, that's it for this video. Thank you all so much for watching. I talked a lot. I'm kind of tired to talk about Code Vein and things that could change and that could not change, and how the game could be better, because currently it's not. Because when you look at this, I'm not happy really, and I think it could be way better than that. But yeah, so don't forget to like, subscribe. We talk about Code Vein when we can. We talk about God Eater as well, and also I play a lot of things like Dark Souls, Bloodborne. I play games, fighting games as well, a lot. Grand Blue, Soul Calibur. Maybe I'll go back to Tekken soon, so we'll see how that goes. Anyways, that's it for this video. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye bye.